guys! Okay, so today I kind of wanted to give you an anatomy lesson. As part of our Pure Sex Talks, it's time. You think you know anatomy? Well, aren't you in for it? No, today we're going to talk about locations of your body, soul, and spirit. There's quite a few people, it always kind of astounds me, that don't realize that we are three-part beings. We are a body, a soul, and a spirit. It's kind of what makes us special. Animals are only two-part beings. They are body and soul. They have a mind, they can think, but most of the things that they do are purely instinctual. As humans, we're entirely different because we are actually spirit creatures. And so today I just kind of wanted to give you a brief overview of it. It'll help you understand a lot of really deep concepts, and it will actually help you with pure sex. So, let's get started. Body, very easy to explain. It's what you live inside of. You live in it. It's not a big deal. It was made from dust. It consists of your senses, your five senses. So anytime that you have feelings, that would be you living in your flesh. Your soul, it's the picker. It gets to choose which direction you go. It's made up of your heart, your will, and your emotions. Your mind, will, and emotions. It chooses. And so that's why it needs to be renewed. Your spirit, it's also got three parts to it. We will talk more about it in a minute, but this is we worship God in spirit and in truth. This is the part that connects to God. When you get saved, this is the part that changes. We become new creations, and everybody's like, okay, but if you were saved before, this part didn't change, because if you were fat before, you're still fat after. If you liked ice cream before, you still probably like ice cream after. This part didn't change. This part didn't change. A lot of times, and this is the part that frustrates people more than anything, is because they're like, well, but I should be thinking different thoughts because I'm saved. Well, yes, but that's something you're gonna have to work on. You're gonna start this process called renewing your mind. And that's where this part starts changing. This is the part that changes when you get saved. Instantly, you're a new creature. Everything you need is downloaded into this part. Everything's new. The problem is going to be getting this part all the way over here. So the way you do it, the only way you can do it is through this part. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So a lot of people, this is what I mean by this part is the part that chooses. This is the picker. This is the majority rule here. When he's over here and this one decides that he doesn't like broccoli, then they're going to win, even though your spirit knows broccoli's good for you. It's a good idea. You should probably do it. It has all those great nutrients, but because this one says it doesn't like it, it's not going to do it. If these two pair up, it's a whole different game. So, because when these two pair up, this one comes under submission. And this is how God created it to be. Now, I know, it's a very complex thing. It takes a lot of explaining. We'll be talking about this more than just this video, but I wanted to give you kind of a visual illustration of what's going on here. A lot of people are looking for healing in their body. And everything they ever needed is in this one. But this is blocking because it's not renewed. It liked to watch TV and it doesn't have any idea. I'm going to go ahead and give you some characteristics of each one. The characteristics of your spirit are that it communicates with God. It has a conscience. It worships God. The conscience is a discerning organ. It's independent and direct. It judges according to intuition. And intuition is the second part. Conscious is your first part. Intuition is the second part. Intuition is a sensing organ. Sometimes you know things that you shouldn't know. And that is because, the Lord lives inside you and you have his discernment. And so he will put things into your spirit that you don't know, but you absolutely, there's no way you should know them, but you absolutely know it's truth. And it's really awesome that way. I mean, it happens to me often, and it always proves to be very useful and helpful. The third part is communion, worshiping with God. And, it's our connection. Once we become saved, our spirit never sins. It is always connected into heaven. And if we can understand that, we always have access to the throne room. And so even though this part may be not doing its part, this part's ready and what to go. So let's talk about your soul. It's your free will. It's the tiebreaker. It's composed of your mind, will, and emotions. Unrenewed, it cannot be trusted. If your soul prospers, you prosper. It's your thought life. It's your longing for belonging. Your self dwells in your soul. It belongs to both worlds. It's your personality. It's your intellect. It has to give consent. Well, here's your characteristics of flesh. It doesn't like pain. Doesn't always naturally want to eat healthy foods. Wants to be pleased, indulgent. Comes into contact with the world. This is the landing strip. This is where the physical manifestation happens of your inner life. So people get to see what's going on the inside through this. And they can tell if this is happening or if this is happening. Let's talk about your will for a minute. And then that's probably where we'll end today. Your will, when you get saved, if you surrender your will to your spirit, it will do some amazing things. One of the things about your will is when you put it up against something, you are going to, if something comes against it, for instance, let's just use the example of rape. When you're raped, you're going up against your will, and your will gets mowed over. And that's why it's so traumatic. A lot of this happens when you get a C-section. When you get a C-section, you put your will up against having one. And so I know people that struggle their entire first year with their children because they put their will up against it, it got mowed over, and it felt like rape. There was trauma involved. Well, when you lower your will to the Lord, he takes care of you. I'm not going to say bad things don't happen, but I am saying there's no trauma involved. He makes it good. He takes beauty for ashes. As part of our anatomy lesson, I do need to explain where all this stuff is real quick. Body, obviously. Soul is located, it's in your heart. Your emotions are down here. There's a lot of scriptures about emotions being in your bowels. And your spirit, a lot of people are like, I hear God up here. No, you don't. You hear him here. Because this is where your spirit is. Your spirit is seated on top of your emotions. And so if you ever want to get it down into your spirit, the way I picture it, it's kind of like dropping a bucket down into a well. You just allow yourself to get down into your spirit. You'd feel it. You drop down and you're seated on top of your emotions, and then you let the Lord talk to you. If you don't think that your emotions are down there, then why do we say things like butterflies in our stomach, or the thing that he said hit me in the gut like a rock? I mean, that's where your emotions are. This is where your spirit is. Your heart and your soul, it's all in this area. A couple, like 20 years ago, scientists discovered that we have a parasympathetic system that goes down and relays messages back to our brain, telling us, you know, we have our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic. And basically it's because your spirit is housed down here, so it needs a relay point up to your brain as well. I mean, your brain is your mind. And anyway, we are going to go into more detail about this, but I just really wanted to kind of quickly give you a little glimpse into what all this is about. We'll talk about it more. I'll probably write about it some, but I felt like if you saw it, you would kind of have a little bit of a better idea.